Imagine this. You wake up one morning, stand from your bed, and suddenly your knees buckle. The strength you thought you still had vanishes in an instant, and before you know it, you're on the floor. For too many seniors, this frightening moment is the first sign of rapid muscle loss. It's not just about getting older, it's about something you may be neglecting every single morning. You might assume the cause is lack of exercise or maybe even genetics. But the truth is much more surprising. Skipping protein at breakfast is silently starving your muscles, accelerating their decline day by day. Before we dive in, if you haven't subscribed yet, I recommend you hit that button and turn on the bell so you never miss another health tip made just for you. If you enjoy this video, type 1 in the comments. If not, type 0 to let me know how I can make better content for you. As a senior health specialist, I've seen firsthand how missing this one daily step, adding protein in the morning, leads to shrinking muscles, weaker bones, and higher risks of falls and fractures. The science is clear. After age 60, your body becomes far less efficient at turning food into muscle tissue. If your muscles don't get fuel in the morning, they start breaking down faster than you think. Take, for example, a study from aging researchers who tracked adults over 65. They found that seniors who ate little or no protein at breakfast had significantly more muscle loss compared to those who did. This wasn't about total daily protein, it was about timing. Your body needs protein early in the day to spark muscle protein synthesis, the repair and growth process that protects your strength. I remember one of my patients, Mrs. Han, a 70-year-old grandmother who loved walking to the market every morning. She rarely ate more than tea and toast for breakfast. Over the years, her legs became thinner, and one morning she collapsed on the street. The doctors didn't find a heart attack or stroke. It was severe sarcopenia, the medical term for age-related muscle loss, and it was made worse by years of skipping protein in the morning. So let me ask you directly, what did you have for breakfast today? Did it include eggs, yogurt, or fish, or was it just coffee and bread? That simple choice could be the difference between walking confidently or facing a sudden fall. If you're surprised now, wait until you see how skipping protein in the morning connects directly to faster sarcopenia, even in people who exercise daily. That's what we'll uncover next. When you cross the age of 60, a hidden change begins deep within your body. Your muscles no longer respond to food the way they once did. This process is called anabolic resistance, and it means that your body requires more protein, and especially timely protein, to trigger muscle repair. In simpler terms, the same piece of chicken breast that once kept your legs strong at 40 does only half the job at 70. If you skip breakfast protein, you start each day already behind, and your muscles quietly shrink without you realizing it. Mainstream medicine acknowledges that sarcopenia, or age-related muscle loss, affects up to 1 in 3 older adults. It is one of the leading causes of frailty, falls, and even hospitalization. But here's the overlooked truth. Sarcopenia is not only about age, it's about nutrition timing. Your muscles, like an engine, need fuel in the morning to keep working. Without protein at breakfast, the first half of your day is powered by sugar swings and weakness rather than steady strength. Let me illustrate this with a patient story. Mr. Raymond, a 66-year-old retired carpenter, came to me complaining of weak arms and constant fatigue. He thought it was arthritis, but after reviewing his diet, I noticed a critical pattern. He skipped breakfast or relied on coffee and toast. By noon, his body had already burned through stored protein, and with no morning replenishment, his muscles were literally wasting. After a small accident where he slipped on his porch and struggled to lift himself, he finally realized how fragile his strength had become. When we adjusted his breakfast, adding just 25 grams of protein, his recovery and confidence surprised even him. Scientifically, here's what's happening with age. The body's ability to absorb amino acids slows. Amino acids are the building blocks of protein and the foundation of muscle. If they are not present early in the day, your body turns to its own muscles to maintain blood sugar balance. This means that each skipped breakfast accelerates the erosion of your muscle mass. Think of it this way. If your muscles are your savings account, every morning, without protein is like withdrawing cash without making a deposit. Day after day, the balance dwindles until suddenly you face bankruptcy, in your case, physical weakness and frailty. So I'll ask you, are you unknowingly skipping these crucial morning deposits into your strength bank? Because what comes next will shock you even more. Skipping breakfast protein isn't just inconvenient, it's directly tied to faster progression of sarcopenia, the silent thief of independence in seniors. Sarcopenia is often described as a silent thief. It creeps in slowly, without pain, without warning, until one day you notice your arms can't lift groceries, your legs tremble on the stairs, or you can no longer get up from a chair without using your hands. What many seniors don't realize is that skipping protein at breakfast fuels this silent decline. Sarcopenia is not inevitable. It accelerates when the body doesn't receive the nutrients it needs at the right time. Mainstream medical science has shown that sarcopenia affects nearly 30% of adults over 60 and up to half of those over 80. The loss of lean muscle mass is not just cosmetic. It reduces mobility balance and even your metabolism. Without muscle, your body burns fewer calories, fat accumulates, and your risk of diabetes skyrockets. But here's the deeper, lesser-known truth: when you consistently skip protein in the morning, your muscle protein synthesis, the process of building new muscle, is delayed until much later in the day, if at all. That delay creates a dangerous gap where your muscles continue breaking down with nothing to replace them. I once worked with a patient named Mrs. Alvarez, 74, a retired school principal. She was proud of her healthy lifestyle, walking every evening and eating balanced dinners. But her mornings were always the same: black coffee, sometimes a piece of fruit. When she came to me, her thighs had weakened so much she could barely climb stairs. Tests confirmed she had advanced sarcopenia despite being otherwise healthy. The culprit was her long-term habit of skipping morning protein. Once we restructured her diet to include eggs and yogurt at breakfast, her muscle strength improved within weeks. Her story is proof that even disciplined seniors can fall victim to this hidden link. On a biochemical level, sarcopenia progresses faster in the absence of essential amino acids such as leucine, which is critical for muscle repair. Leucine-rich foods like eggs, dairy, and fish, when consumed in the morning, act as a switch to activate muscle protein synthesis. Without this switch being turned on early, the body's repair system remains idle and muscle fibers continue to waste away. Think about it. Every skipped breakfast without protein is like letting termites nibble at the foundation of your house. You won't see the damage right away, but years later, the structure collapses. Isn't your body's foundation, the muscles that carry you every day, worth protecting? And if you think this is only about frailty, wait until you hear what happened to Mr. Lee, a 72-year-old retired teacher who ignored protein at breakfast until his sudden fall left his entire family in shock. Mr. Lee was a 72-year-old retired high school teacher. For decades, he had been admired by his students for his discipline, his sharp mind, and his energy. Even after retirement, he stayed active. He enjoyed reading in the mornings, tutoring his grandchildren, and tending to his small garden. But one seemingly ordinary morning turned his life upside down. That day began like most others. Mr. Lee drank his usual cup of tea, nibbled on a slice of white bread, and skipped anything with protein. He thought he was eating light to stay healthy. Later, while watering his plants, his legs suddenly gave way beneath him. He fell hard on his hip and couldn't get back up without help. His family rushed him to the hospital, fearing a stroke or fracture. The scans showed no stroke, no broken bones, but the diagnosis was still devastating: severe sarcopenia. His muscles had shrunk and weakened so much that they could no longer reliably support his body. When I reviewed his diet, the pattern was obvious. For years, he had been neglecting protein at breakfast, relying instead on bread, jam, and tea. His muscles had been starving every morning, and the damage had quietly accumulated until his collapse. Mainstream medicine tells us that after age 60, muscle loss can occur at a rate of 1 to 2% per year if not addressed. But here's the deeper reality: that rate accelerates dramatically when the body starts its day without protein. Imagine your muscles as a factory. If there are no raw materials delivered in the morning, the factory sits idle, workers leave, and production halts. By the time protein finally arrives later in the day, much of the damage has already been done. For Mr. Lee, we created a new plan. Each morning he began eating an omelet with vegetables or Greek yogurt with nuts and berries. Within 3 months, his walking speed improved, his grip, strength returned, and most importantly, his confidence was back. He even joked, "Breakfast became my medicine." But his story carries a warning. Don't wait until a fall forces you to pay attention. Every skipped protein breakfast chips away at your independence. So let me ask you, are you starting your mornings like Mr. Lee once did, with empty calories and no protein? Because the next piece of research may surprise you even more. It's not just how much protein you eat, it's when you eat it that changes everything. When most seniors think about protein, they focus on the total amount eaten in a day. Doctors often recommend 60 to 80 grams, and many believe that as long as they reach that number by nightfall, they're safe. But here's the hidden truth: timing is just as important as quantity. If you push most of your protein intake to lunch or dinner, your muscles may still shrink, because by then your body has already missed the crucial morning window. Mainstream science confirms this. Studies from leading nutrition institutes show that older adults who distribute protein evenly across all meals retain more muscle mass than those who eat little in the morning and load up at dinner. This is because your body's muscle protein synthesis machinery is like a switch. It needs to be flipped on multiple times per day to maintain strength. After age 60, that switch becomes harder to activate, and without protein, early in the day, the first half of your daily opportunity is lost forever. One fascinating study divided seniors into two groups. One consumed the same total protein but spread evenly across 3 meals, while the other ate most of their protein at dinner. After several weeks, the evenly distributed group gained muscle strength while the dinner-heavy group lost it, even though their daily totals matched. The timing made all the difference. I recall a patient named Mr. Nakamura, 69, a retired accountant. He was proud of eating balanced dinners with fish tofu and plenty of protein, but his breakfasts were always coffee and rice crackers. Despite exercising regularly, he complained of weaker legs and struggled to climb the subway stairs. Blood tests and muscle scans revealed declining muscle mass. When I advised him to shift part of his protein to breakfast, adding boiled eggs and soy milk, his progress was remarkable. Within 6 weeks, his stamina improved, and he could carry groceries without fatigue. He often told me, "It wasn't that I wasn't eating enough, it was that I was eating at the wrong time." Biochemically, this makes sense. The body requires a steady stream of essential amino acids throughout the day. Waiting until late afternoon creates a long fasting period where muscles continue breaking down with no repair. By eating protein at breakfast, you spark muscle protein synthesis, early reduce catabolism, and set a stable rhythm for the rest of the day. So now I ask you, are you cramming most of your protein into dinner and leaving your mornings empty? Because the next mistake may shock you. Many seniors not only skip protein, they replace it with breakfast foods that actually make muscle loss worse. When you picture a classic breakfast, what comes to mind? For many seniors, it's a slice of toast with butter and jam, maybe a sweet pastry, and of course, a steaming cup of coffee or tea. It feels light, comforting, and even harmless. But here lies one of the greatest traps. These common breakfasts deliver sugar and empty calories while leaving your muscles starved. Mainstream medicine has long warned about blood sugar spikes. Refined carbs like white bread pastries or sugary spreads rapidly raise blood glucose levels, followed by a crash that leaves you weak and tired. But what's often overlooked is the impact on muscle health. Without protein in the morning, your body has no building blocks for repair. Instead, it turns to your own muscle tissue, breaking it down to maintain blood sugar balance. Over time, this leads to thinner arms, weaker legs, and greater frailty. Let me share the story of Mrs. Peterson, a 70-year-old retired nurse. She often started her day with jam on toast and a large coffee, believing it was light and therefore healthy. But she noticed she was losing strength in her thighs, and even carrying a small bag of groceries felt exhausting. She dismissed it as aging until one morning she nearly fell while stepping off a bus. Tests revealed advanced muscle loss. The culprit: years of skipping protein and relying on sugar-laden breakfasts. When she replaced her toast and jam routine with scrambled eggs, Greek yogurt, and nuts, her energy returned. Within 3 months, her legs felt stronger and her balance improved noticeably. Biochemically, here's why this happens. After a night of fasting, your body is in a catabolic state. It needs fuel immediately. If you give it only sugar, insulin surges, and your body quickly burns through glucose. With no protein available, your system begins converting muscle protein into glucose to stabilize blood sugar. Essentially, your body cannibalizes itself to survive until lunch. That's why seniors who eat only toast or sweets in the morning may feel weaker as the years go by. And coffee. While it may boost alertness, it does nothing to protect your muscles. In fact, coffee without food can increase cortisol, a stress hormone that promotes muscle breakdown. Combine this with sugary pastries and you've created the perfect recipe for weakness. So I'll ask you directly, is your breakfast secretly working against you? If your plate is filled with bread, sweets, or empty calories, your muscles are paying the price. But here's the good news. Science shows that adding as little as 25 grams of protein at breakfast can cut your risk of muscle loss dramatically. And that's exactly what we'll explore next. Imagine if something as small as 1 extra scoop of yogurt, 1 more egg, or a handful of nuts could cut your risk of muscle loss in half. For seniors over 60, that's not a fantasy, it's a scientific reality. Research shows that consuming around 25 grams of protein at breakfast is the sweet spot for protecting muscle mass and slowing sarcopenia. Mainstream guidelines often suggest daily totals of 60 to 80 grams of protein, but they rarely stress when to eat it. Here's what scientists now know: older muscles are less sensitive to protein. While a younger person may trigger muscle repair with 10 to 15 grams, someone over 60 needs closer to 25 grams in one sitting to switch on muscle protein synthesis. That's why a protein-rich breakfast isn't optional, it's essential. I think of Mrs. Johnson, a 68-year-old retired librarian who came to me complaining of constant fatigue and leg weakness. She was already eating healthy dinners with fish and vegetables, but admitted her breakfast was little more than coffee and crackers. We restructured her mornings with one serving of Greek yogurt, a boiled egg, and a sprinkle of pumpkin seeds together, about 25 grams of protein. Within 6 weeks, she noticed a difference. Climbing stairs no longer left her breathless, and she could carry her grocery bags with confidence. She later told me, "That small change gave me back my independence." On the biochemical level, the key amino acid here is leucine. Leucine acts like a light switch, telling your body it's time to build muscle. Foods like eggs, dairy, soy, and lean meat are rich in leucine. But here's the catch: you need a threshold amount, usually around 2.5 grams of leucine, to fully activate the process. That's why nibbling on a small cracker or half a banana in the morning isn't enough. Your muscles need a full dose of protein to turn on the repair machinery. Think of your muscles like a dry sponge. A few drops of water won't bring it back to life. You need a steady stream. In the same way, only a meaningful portion of protein, about 25 grams, can truly nourish your muscles after the overnight fast. So, let me ask, when you sit down for breakfast tomorrow, will you give your body those 25 grams of strength, or will you let your muscles continue shrinking? Because next, I'll show you which smart protein choices after 60 are proven to preserve your independence and vitality. Not all proteins are created equal, especially after the age of 60. Your body changes, and so does the way it absorbs and utilizes nutrients. This means that making the right protein choices at breakfast can be the difference between maintaining your independence or gradually losing it. Mainstream science recommends a mix of high-quality, easily digestible proteins for seniors. These are proteins rich in essential amino acids, particularly leucine, which is crucial for muscle repair. But beyond the basic advice, there are powerful specific options that can transform your mornings. Take eggs, for example. One large egg delivers about 6 grams of protein and a wealth of leucine. They're also rich in vitamin D, which helps preserve bone strength, critical for avoiding fractures when falls occur. Pair 2 eggs with yogurt or cheese, and you've already met your 25-gram target. Greek yogurt is another excellent choice. Unlike regular yogurt, it contains nearly double the protein, and its probiotics support gut health, which in turn improves nutrient absorption. Add some chia seeds or nuts on top, and you've created a powerhouse meal. Soy-based foods, such as tofu or soy milk, are lifesavers for those who avoid dairy. They not only provide complete protein, but also offer isoflavones compounds shown to improve bone density and circulation. For seniors who struggle with digestion, soft tofu or warm soy milk can be gentle yet effective. Fish, too, can be a morning staple. While it may not be traditional for breakfast in some cultures, in places like Japan, grilled salmon or mackerel is a common morning food. Fish offers high-quality protein along with omega-3 fatty acids, which reduce inflammation and help maintain joint flexibility. Let me share a story. Mr. Choi, a 71-year-old retired engineer, struggled with weak grip strength and frequent fatigue. He relied heavily on bread and coffee for breakfast. When we switched his diet to include a boiled egg, a cup of soy milk, and a small portion of salmon 2 to 3 times a week, his transformation was striking. Within 2 months, his grip improved and he could open jars without help, something he hadn't been able to do in years. He said with a smile, "It feels like I've turned back the clock." Biochemically, these protein-rich foods deliver the necessary amino acids in a form that the aging body can absorb efficiently. Plant-based proteins like beans are still beneficial, but they may lack certain amino acids unless carefully paired. That's why seniors benefit most from combining animal and plant sources, like pairing eggs with spinach or yogurt with nuts. So let me challenge you tomorrow morning. Will you choose bread and jam, or will you fill your plate with these smart proteins? Because in the next story, you'll see how one woman, Mrs. Park, regained her lost strength simply by making this change. Mrs. Park was 68 when she came to me, her face lined with worry. Once an active grandmother who loved taking long walks with her grandchildren, she now struggled to climb even a single flight of stairs. "Doctor," she said, "I feel like my legs are melting away." At first she thought it was arthritis or simple aging, but her medical tests told another story. Sarcopenia, advanced muscle loss. Her diet revealed a troubling pattern. For years, Mrs. Park skipped breakfast entirely, believing that saving calories in the morning would help her control her weight. Lunch and dinner were hearty, but by then her body had already gone more than half the day without protein. Her muscles had been in a fasting state too long, and every morning without protein was like silently draining her strength reserves. We began with a simple plan: add protein to her mornings. Nothing fancy, nothing overwhelming. She started with 2 boiled eggs and a cup of warm soy milk. Sometimes she switched to Greek yogurt with chia seeds and almonds. Slowly but surely, her mornings transformed. Within 4 weeks, she reported less fatigue. By the 8th week, she could walk to the park again, holding her grandson's hand without fear of falling behind. "It feels like my legs have returned," she said with tears in her eyes. Mainstream medical fact: muscle mass can improve at any age with the right nutrition and exercise. It's never too late. But here's the lesser-known truth: the timing of protein intake determines how quickly results appear. Studies show that seniors who consistently eat protein-rich breakfasts experience up to 40% better recovery of muscle strength compared to those who consume the same protein only later in the day. Biochemically, her recovery was fueled by leucine and other essential amino acids that finally reached her muscles early in the day. This reset her body's muscle-building clock, allowing her to rebuild strength she thought was gone forever. Combined with light walking and resistance bands, her progress accelerated. Mrs. Park's story is a powerful reminder: breakfast isn't just the most important meal of the day. In a general sense, it's the most critical moment for seniors to protect their independence. A simple shift like 2 eggs and a handful of nuts can mean the difference between decline and renewal. So let me ask you, if Mrs. Park could reclaim her strength in just 8 weeks, what might happen if you began tomorrow? To make it even easier, in the next section, I'll give you a final guide: 6 safe, senior-friendly protein options you can enjoy every morning without fear. As we come to the close of this journey, I want you to pause and reflect on one simple truth. Aging changes how your body interacts with food. What once was good enough is no longer sufficient. And the choice you make each morning, whether to fuel your muscles with protein or starve them with sugar, shapes your strength, independence, and even your safety. Let's recap the core message. Skipping protein at breakfast is not harmless. It accelerates sarcopenia, the silent muscle loss that robs seniors of balance, stability, and freedom. We've seen how missing that morning protein led to Mr. Lee's sudden collapse, to Mrs. Peterson's weakness on the bus, and to years of silent decline for countless others. But we've also seen the hope: Mrs. Park's recovery, Mr. Nakamura's renewed stamina, and Mrs. Johnson's return to independence, all sparked by one change: adding protein to breakfast. So what can you do right now? Let me give you 6 senior-friendly, safe protein options you can rotate through your mornings. Eggs. 2 large eggs give you 12 grams of protein and plenty of leucine to activate muscle building. Greek yogurt, rich in protein and probiotics for gut and nutrient absorption. Add nuts or seeds for extra strength. Soy milk or tofu, a gentle plant-based protein that is complete and supportive of bone health. Fish. A portion of salmon or mackerel not only delivers protein but also omega-3s to keep joints flexible. Cottage cheese. Soft, easy to digest, and packed with casein protein that sustains muscle repair throughout the morning. Protein-enriched oatmeal. Combine oats with a scoop of whey protein or soy protein powder for a warm, muscle-protecting breakfast. The key is consistency. Make breakfast your anchor meal for strength. Aim for around 25 grams of protein each morning. Pair it with colorful vegetables, healthy fats like olive oil or avocado, and whole grains if desired. This balance stabilizes your blood sugar, fuels your energy, and most importantly, feeds your muscles at the moment they need it most. Here are a few simple rules to remember. Never skip breakfast protein. Even a small serving is better than none. Eat protein earlier rather than later. The morning window is critical. Pair protein with movement. A short walk or light resistance exercise after breakfast helps direct those nutrients into your muscles. Rotate your sources. Variety ensures you get all the amino acids and nutrients your body requires. Now take a deep breath. This isn't about fear, it's about empowerment. You have the power to decide how strong your body will remain in the years ahead. By protecting your muscles, you protect your independence, your mobility, and your dignity. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a comment with 1. If not, feel free to comment with 0. Your feedback means a lot to us. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe so more seniors can discover these life-saving tips. Stay strong, stay nourished, and remember, every morning is a new chance to build your strength. Protect your muscles and they will carry you faithfully through the years ahead.